A Poor Boy. Chapter 1. A Broken Roof. In a small town in Arkansas, there stood a crooked house with peeling white paint and a sagging porch. Inside lived a boy named Tyler. He was 12 years old, with hair the color of dried hay and eyes as blue as the summer sky. His jeans were always patched at the knees, and his shoes had holes in the soles. Tyler had never known anything different. He had lived in that house all his life, with his mother, who worked nights at the diner, and his little sister, Gracie. Every winter, the wind howled through the cracks in the walls, and the roof leaked so badly that they had to place buckets on the floor to catch the water. Tyler never complained. He would hold Gracie close when the storms rolled in, telling her stories about brave knights and beautiful queens to keep her from crying. He knew they were poor. Everyone in town knew. But he also knew his mother loved him more than anything. And somehow, that made things feel bearable. Chapter 2. The Hidden Shame. At school, Tyler felt the weight of being the poor kid. He saw it in the way the other children looked at his worn-out backpack, and in the way teachers handed him free lunch tickets without meeting his eyes. Sometimes, his stomach burned with shame. He would pretend he wasn't hungry, sliding the lunch tray away so no one would notice he didn't have money. Other times, he'd walk home slowly, hoping no one would see the empty pantry through their kitchen window. One Friday afternoon, Mrs. Callahan, his homeroom teacher, pulled him aside. "Tyler, do you have a winter coat?" she asked softly. He looked down at his sneakers. "I'm okay." "Do you have a coat?" she repeated. He shook his head. She didn't say anything else. The next Monday, there was a package waiting for him. Inside was a puffy blue jacket with a note, "Stay warm, Tyler. You matter." He ran his hand over the smooth fabric, feeling tears sting the corners of his eyes. For the first time in a long while, he felt like maybe someone really saw him. Chapter 3. A Mother's Struggle. His mother, Maria, was only 32, but her face looked older, lined with exhaustion. She worked double shifts whenever she could, pouring coffee for truckers and wiping down sticky tables. At night, she came home and kissed Tyler's forehead while he pretended to sleep. He could smell the cheap diner soap on her hands and the tiredness in her voice when she whispered, "I love you, baby." Sometimes, he woke to find her sitting at the kitchen table, staring at a stack of bills. She would rub her temples and sigh, her shoulders slumping under the weight of everything she couldn't fix. Tyler wanted to help her more than anything, but he was just a boy, and boys didn't have many ways to make money. Chapter 4. The Idea. One evening, while walking home from school, Tyler passed the hardware store. A sign taped to the window read, "Help Wanted, Yard Work and Deliveries." His heart thumped. He was only 12, but maybe Mr. Leonard, the owner, would give him a chance. He pushed open the door, the little bell jingling overhead. Mr. Leonard looked up from behind the counter, adjusting his glasses. "Afternoon, Tyler. What brings you here?" "I saw your sign," Tyler said, trying to sound braver than he felt. "I can work. I'm strong. I can do deliveries or rake leaves." Mr. Leonard studied him for a long moment. Then he nodded. "You're young, but you're a hard worker. I'll let you help on Saturdays. $5 an hour. That okay?" Tyler tried not to grin too wide. "Yes, sir." "Be here at 8, Mr. Leonard said, "and don't be late." When Tyler ran home to tell his mother, she hugged him so tight, he thought he might burst. Chapter 5. The Saturday Routine. Every Saturday morning, before the sun came up, Tyler slipped into his jacket and walked the mile to town. He swept the sidewalk in front of the hardware store and helped carry bags of nails, paint cans, and garden tools to customers' trucks. The work made his arms ache and blisters form on his palms, but he didn't mind. At the end of each day, Mr. Leonard counted out the money and placed it in a small envelope. Tyler would hand the envelope to his mother when he got home. She never spent it on herself. She bought groceries, paid the light bill, and sometimes set a few dollars aside for Christmas. One evening, she put her hands on his cheeks and whispered, "You're my little man, Tyler. I'm so proud of you." He glowed at her words, the way only a boy can when he knows he's helping his family survive. Chapter 6. A Small Kindness. One cold November day, Tyler was delivering a bag of bird seed to Mrs. Jenkins, the elderly widow who lived in the blue house at the end of Maple Street. When he knocked, she opened the door slowly, leaning on her cane. "Oh, thank you, dear. My old bones can't carry that." He placed the bag near her kitchen counter, glancing around the little house filled with crocheted blankets and faded photographs. "Would you like some hot chocolate?" she asked. He hesitated. He was supposed to hurry back, but the warmth in her eyes made him nod. She poured him a mug and set out a plate of cookies. As he sipped the chocolate, she asked about his family, about school, about what he wanted to be when he grew up. "I want to be someone who helps people," he said. "That's a fine thing to want," she replied, her voice trembling. "You already are, you know." Her words stayed with him long after he walked back into the cold. Chapter 7. Christmas Morning. That December, the town held a toy drive. Tyler didn't expect anything. But on Christmas morning, there was a box on their porch with a bright red ribbon. Inside were gifts wrapped in shiny paper. A new backpack, books for Gracie, and a pair of sturdy boots for him. His mother pressed her hand over her mouth, her eyes filling with tears. "Who do you think it's from?" she whispered. He thought of Mrs. Callahan, Mr. Leonard, and all the quiet kindness that had carried them through the year. He didn't know who had left the box, but he felt a warmth in his chest that made the day feel magical. That night, they sat around the little tree his mother had decorated with paper stars. For the first time in a long while, they let themselves dream of better days. Chapter 8. A Boy and a Dream. Spring came to Arkansas in a rush of green. The dogwoods bloomed, and the air smelled like damp earth. Tyler kept working at the hardware store, saving every dollar he could. One evening, his teacher asked the class to write an essay. "What do you want most in the world?" Tyler thought hard before he put his pencil to the page. "I want my family to be safe and warm. I want my mom not to worry anymore. I want my sister to have new books. I want to grow up and help kids who don't have enough." When Mrs. Callahan read his essay, she blinked back tears. "You have a good heart, Tyler," she said. "Never lose that." Chapter 9. A Storm and a Choice. That May, the sky turned a sickly green. A tornado warning blared through town. Tyler's mother rushed them into the hallway, where they huddled together as the wind screamed outside. When it was over, the house was still standing, but the roof was nearly torn off. Rain poured in, soaking their few belongings. The insurance company said there wasn't enough coverage to fix it. Tyler watched his mother's shoulders tremble as she swept water out the door. That night, he lay awake, staring at the ceiling. He knew he had to do something. Chapter 10. The Lemonade Stand. The next morning, he took Gracie by the hand and walked to the hardware store. Mr. Leonard let them borrow a folding table. They set it up by the road, scribbled a sign on a piece of cardboard, "Lemonade, 50 cents, and waited. At first, cars passed without stopping. Then Mrs. Jenkins came by and bought a cup. A delivery truck pulled over next. Soon, neighbors he barely knew were dropping coins into the jar. When the sun set, they had made $24. "It's a start," he told his mother. She kissed the top of his head. "You're the bravest boy I know." Chapter 11. A Town's Heart. The next day, Mr. Leonard taped a flyer to the hardware store window. "Help the Carter family fix their roof. Donations accepted here." The diner where Maria worked set out a jar on the counter. Kids at school brought in pennies and nickels. Mrs. Jenkins organized a bake sale. In just 2 weeks, the town had raised enough to patch the roof. Tyler couldn't believe it. He felt like someone had taken the shame off his shoulders and replaced it with hope. That night, as the last shingle was nailed in place, his mother hugged him and whispered, "You see, baby, people care. Never forget that." Chapter 12. Becoming himself. Summer came, long and hot. Tyler kept working at the hardware store and mowing lawns. Each dollar he earned went into a coffee can under his bed. He didn't tell anyone, but he was saving for something special. A used laptop so he could study, and maybe one day start an organization to help poor kids like him. When he turned 13 in August, his mother gave him a single wrapped present. Inside was a notebook with a leather cover. "For your ideas," she said, "for your dreams." He held it to his chest, feeling like he was carrying a piece of his future. Chapter 13. The Road Ahead. The last Saturday of summer vacation, Tyler walked to Mrs. Jenkins' house to mow her yard. She was sitting on the porch, knitting a scarf. "School starts Monday," she said. "Are you ready?" "I think so," he replied. "I'm going to work hard." "I know you will," she said, smiling. "You remind me of my son. He never gave up." Tyler looked out across the yard, imagining the man he would become. Maybe he wouldn't always be poor. Maybe he would find a way to help others, to show them that no matter how hard life was, there was always hope. Chapter 14. A Boy No Longer. Years later, when Tyler was grown and running a community center that gave free tutoring and meals to kids in need, he sometimes thought back to that crooked house with the leaking roof. He remembered the shame. He remembered the hunger. But most of all, he remembered the way his town had wrapped itself around his family like a blanket. He remembered the kindness of teachers, neighbors, and strangers. And he remembered the boy he had been. The poor boy who never stopped believing in something better.